Yeah, so you told me about a concept. You said it was called too big to fail, but like, what is that?
So
What is
in
that?
'07 and that time frame, 6, 7, 8, when the economy was sort of feeling a huge retraction because I always say the banks robbed America, but that's just my own personal thing. Because we were having these tremendous economic challenges, let's say that.
Okay.
And so what we saw before our very eyes, we saw banks literally on TV and on a given morning, the banks were collapsing.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw both commercial banks and investment banks.
Okay.
So my own personal bank at the time, Washington Mutual was the name of the bank.
Yeah.
And Washington Mutual failed, disappeared, fell off the map, gone, right?
Yeah.
I believe Chase was assigned to sort of kind of, if you will, go in and do cleanup and take responsibility for whatever was left of that.
I think
So
that's
they had to do a
exactly
mock-up.
true because we used to drive to your bank and then one day the name on the outside just changed.
You just changed.
It said Chase.
Right.
And I was like, okay, we go to Chase now.
Right. So, which incidentally I think is excellent, but then that's an aside. And then the next one I had, Wachovia, was my business bank, and two, they just sort of off the map.
Yeah, I really, like that one doesn't really ring any bells.
Yeah,
so-
Wachovia Bank, and then that one became Wells Fargo.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So
Feel bad.
experience quite different, but that actually happened in real time.
Yeah.
So then you had the regular commercial banks failing, and then you'd see something like the Merrill Lynch bull. The bull stood for strength, and of course bull markets, right?
Yeah,
Rising markets.
And they had like a bull in New York City, right?
Yeah.
Specifically for that?
Right,
Okay.
right. So the bull failed,
Yeah.
right? All the bulls failed, the bears failed, all of it failed, the whole thing collapsed. The market went from 14,000, and just before this happened, I remember telling clients, said, "Hey, I feel something kind of strange going on in the economy. Don't be surprised if you see your market pull back to 10,000." And this is before the collapse, right? This is
Okay.
literally just on a feeling.
What does it mean to pull back to 10,000?
I said, when you saw the Dow Jones Industrial Average at 14,000,
Okay.
climbing toward 14,000 at the point, and my thought was something really funny, strange feeling is going on. I can't quantify it. It isn't in the Wall Street Journal per se, but I got a feeling. I'm telling clients, if I'm you, I'm looking at a safe space right now. Of course, many of them didn't listen because it's like, well, based on what? I don't know. I just have a feeling. Nonetheless, all these events did unfold, and the market didn't only crawl back to 10,000. It went down to 6,700, if I'm not mistaken. So it went below 7,000.
It's like 50%.
50%,
Whoa.
right? So we had to issue $2.3 trillion of aid to get the money into the hands of the consumers. The money went to the banks any number of times, in which case they paid their own bills and took care of their expenses and bonuses and all these things. And at the third or fourth tranche, it seems as though money was actually getting put on the street to people who desperately needed it. Nonetheless, the system failed, right? But it also happened again on the investment side, and the point that I'm trying to make is that the commercial banks failed the consumers, it failed their confidence, no doubt, and then you had the investment banks, of course, which see, the commercial bank you never expect to have a problem from because they have FDIC protection.
Correct.
Right, so the consumers generally don't think of that as being risky.
Right.
And
Not since like the 1800s.
yes, and banks that absorb these other banks, then ultimately the consumers didn't ultimately lose money. But the feeling on that given day was, I wish I could go get all my money out. I wonder how it all works. Now it's too late to get the knowledge and the knowing. The investment banks you would expect that from because on any given day your investments can be gone.
Correct.
Although they're not gone on many days, the consumers still don't understand that on any given day it can all be gone.
Yes.
That's the risk you're subjecting yourself to. This is not a bad thing. It's just the way it is.
Right.
Right? So both the consumer banks, the investment banks had issues. Step over to the insurance company or in the insurance world, and the government steps in and says, well, this one can't fail. This one, there's really not an option. Well, that one we can sort of let be absorbed by another bank, and this one we can sort of parse out and save, and this one we can distribute and move around. Over here, all bets off. And so why is the over here, so like AIG for example, why is the company over here too big to fail? And as I said before, the consumers, naturally, their first knee-jerk reaction is, well, it's because it's monetary, it's fiscal. They got more money. They're too big to fail financially. And I said it's not entirely that. In fact, mostly not that. It's not just that they had a lot of money. It's what's at stake. And I said, so if you look at the insurance industry, you look at an insurance company, you look at what insurance means, you have a
in the
better...
United States.
In the United States particularly,
Yes.
but other places in the world too, in Europe and in the Far East. So insurance companies mean so much more than general banking. And insurance companies mean so much more than money at risk in the market, because insurance companies are the protectors of pensions, which is pretty much everyone's future,
Right.
right? The insurance companies cover your autos and your homes and so on and so forth. So I pull out this example, and I've spoken on this example at a number of seminars. And I said, well, imagine a set of beans. That we have beans in Colombia. Let's just say that we have beans in South America, and we secured this contract 18 months ago, and now our beans are ready, and someone has to go get them, or they're going to be
This is for
shipped
like
up to
Pete's
us.
Coffee, right?
Right? This could be like Starbucks, Pete, any of them, right? Cause just like we got beans down there that have to get up here, and everyone wants their cup of joe when they wake up in the morning.
Yes.
So what actually has to happen in order for us to get this cup of joe? So the beans now have a purchase agreement put on them, and so we know that the beans are paid for. That agreement is insured.
Yes.
Right? We know that we have to send a very large vehicle, or two or three, to go get these beans, presumably airplanes, right? And so now we have to have someone fly these planes, right, to go get these beans. And so all of this stuff, when we take it in total, is insured. So now the airplanes down there and the beans are being loaded up by workers who are insured. And that plane comes back and it lands at an airport that is
insured.
Right down to the runway. Insured. The tires on the airplane, insured. And so that crew on the aircraft, the pilots and the loading and unloading crew and all them are insured. And so then, of course, these beans are going to be offloaded onto trucks, right, that are insured, driven by drivers that are insured, on their way to the Safeways and Whole Foods and whatever else places where they drop off these things, or even a processing plant before they get to those places, by insured workers. And so now these beans are cooked up and baked and packaged, and now they're going to go off to their respective local grocers so that they can be picked up. But while they were being cooked and baked and cleaned up, then that whole process all is insured. And the same thing at the store. You know, the store counters and shelves are insured. All for some person like an urban to get up out of his insured house and go into his insured car and drive down those insured roads that are insured by governments, municipalities, states, and so forth, right? Over to this parking lot that's insured by Rayleigh's and Bel Air, right? And then we're gonna go into the store that's insured and deal with these insured workers and cash out from the counter that's insured, and all the way back to Irv's coffee cup in the kitchen and his insurance pot that's insured in case the thing blows up, right? So there's insurance laden all throughout this process. And so why is it too big to fail? Look at all the insurance. I mean, for all of the case I just described, all the people are insured for life insurance, for health insurance, no doubt, right? For maybe dental and other visions and things like that. But all of the pieces around the people are insured as well. As I said, the pavements, the cars, the wheels, the tires, the trucks, the everything is insured. And so this insurance is so sort of woven into the fabric of the universe, of the whole world.
You know what's...
There's no option for the insurance company to fail.
I think that, I mean, I didn't mean to cut you off, right? I was just getting excited because I'm like, wow, I've never even thought about it in this way, even though now that you've broken it down piece by piece. I'm like, oh yeah, of course, that would be insured, and this would be insured, and that would be insured, but that means that everything is insured.
Everything is insured, and even the insurance companies are insured.
Insured, right. Reinsurance.
Right? And so are levels of insurance that are too much for one carrier to take, they might leverage out to another insurer. And when you start looking at the insurance on top of insurance, inside of insurance, around insurance, well, duh, it can't fail. That's not an option. It's not an option. So yes, the banks are convenient, and yes, the investment banks are the opportunity for you to grow, but the insurance companies are the place where your money is actually kept. And that gives our whole society, our whole system, a backstop.
Honestly, let that just wash over you. Let it seep into your pores, because that is amazing to think about. And honestly, I think, Dad, you explained that in the appropriate amount of time.
So that's the best I can do there.
We're going to leave it at that. Again, this is the station where we break down all your money concepts. Anything that you want to do with your money, anything that you want to avoid doing with your money, come chat with us, because we're going to be talking about it.
Sure.
Be sure to subscribe. And all that means is that click on the red button below, and you'll be subscribed, and you'll be notified when we post new videos. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.
Toodaloo.